My child, stop for a moment and do not let your hand move past this message, because something filled with light is already making its way toward you. What you are about to hear was not meant to arrive yesterday, and it was not meant to wait until tomorrow. It has found you now, at the exact moment when your heart is finally ready to understand why someone connected to your soul has been carrying a secret smile, an unexpected hope, and good news they can barely keep inside. You may not see them standing before you. You may not hear their voice yet. You may even believe that nothing has changed because the outside of your life still looks familiar. But heaven sees what has shifted beneath the surface. A conversation has happened. A decision has been made. A door that once seemed firmly closed has begun to open, and the person your heart has quietly recognized is preparing to tell you something that could change the emotional direction of your life. Do not skip this moment, because the first part of their good news is not what you think it is. It is bigger than a simple message, deeper than a passing emotion, and more meaningful than an ordinary update. Something has happened within them. A fear that once controlled their choices is losing its power. A doubt that once kept them silent has begun to disappear. And for the first time in a long time, they are no longer asking themselves how to run from what they feel. They are asking how they can finally come closer to you. There were nights when they tried to convince themselves that the connection between you was only temporary. They tried to place logic over longing. They distracted themselves with responsibilities, noise, other people's opinions, and the endless demands of daily life. But each time the world became quiet, your presence returned to their thoughts. Not as a burden. Not as a memory they wanted to erase. You returned like a familiar light, like a question their soul refused to stop asking. Why you? Why did your energy remain when so many others faded? Why did certain words you spoke continue to echo inside them long after the conversation ended? Why did they feel that something important had been left unfinished? They did not know how to answer those questions before. But now something has changed. Pause here, because this is where the hidden story begins. Recently, your soulmate experienced a moment they did not expect. It may have appeared ordinary from the outside. Perhaps it happened during a quiet drive, a conversation with someone they trust, an evening when they were alone with their thoughts, or a sudden memory that returned without warning. Yet in that moment, everything they had been avoiding became impossible to ignore. They realized they were not waiting for their feelings to disappear. They were waiting for the courage to honor them. And once that truth entered their heart, they could not return to who they had been before. Heaven watched the exact second their resistance softened. The exact second they stopped asking, "What if this goes wrong?" and began asking, "What if this is the very thing I have been praying for?" That question opened something powerful within them. It awakened hope where hesitation had lived. It brought your face, your kindness, your patience, and even your silence back into focus. But stay until the end, because their good news carries another layer, one they have not yet revealed to anyone completely. They have been preparing. Not only preparing words, but preparing themselves. They know they cannot approach you with empty promises. They know you have carried enough uncertainty. They sense that your heart has learned to protect itself, not because you are cold, but because you have been asked to believe in things that did not always become real. They understand, perhaps more deeply than you realize, that if they come toward you now, they must come with honesty. This is why there has been a delay. You may have interpreted the silence as disinterest. You may have wondered whether they had forgotten, moved on, or chosen a path that no longer included you. But the silence was not empty. Behind it, they were confronting themselves. They were recognizing patterns they could no longer carry. They were seeing how fear had shaped their relationships, how pride had delayed important conversations, and how uncertainty had made them appear distant when their soul was actually overwhelmed. Your soulmate has been changing in private. And private change is often invisible until the moment it becomes a public decision. Something huge is waiting for you in this message, because the good news they want to share is connected to a choice. Not a passing idea. Not an emotional impulse. A real choice. For a long time, they stood between two roads. One road was familiar. It allowed them to remain protected, predictable, and emotionally hidden. It asked nothing brave of them. The other road led toward truth, vulnerability, and the possibility of building something meaningful with you. That road frightened them because it required them to admit that you matter more than they intended. They tried to remain at the crossroads. But life has a way of making certain decisions unavoidable. A recent event pushed them forward. Something they heard, saw, or experienced reminded them that time does not wait forever. They became aware that opportunities can disappear when they are continually postponed. They felt the weight of what it would mean to lose you, not through conflict, but through hesitation. The thought struck them deeply. What if you finally stopped waiting? What if your heart accepted a different future? What if the connection they assumed would remain available quietly moved beyond their reach? That realization awakened urgency. Not panic. Not fear. Clarity. For the first time, they understood that loving someone silently does not create a shared future. Thinking about you is not the same as choosing you. Missing you is not the same as showing up. And hoping you somehow understand is not the same as speaking honestly. This is where their good news began to form. They made a promise to themselves that the next chapter would not be built on silence. They have decided that you deserve to know what has been happening within them. Yet there is something else. A confirmation arrived. Your soulmate had been asking for a sign, though they may not have used those exact words. In their own way, they wanted reassurance that what they felt was not foolish, one-sided, or imagined. They wanted something to show them that taking a step toward you would not be a mistake. Then the confirmation came through an unexpected source. It may have been a conversation in which someone mentioned your name at the exact moment they were thinking of you. It may have been a song, a place, a dream, a memory, or a sentence spoken by someone who knew nothing about the private struggle inside them. Whatever form it took, it reached them with such precision that they could no longer dismiss the connection as coincidence. Their heart became still. And in that stillness, they knew. They knew they had to speak. They knew they had waited long enough. They knew that the good news growing inside them was meant to reach you. Do not move away from this message yet, because what they are preparing to say is not only about their feelings. It is also about what has changed in their circumstances. There was once an obstacle they believed they could not overcome. It may have involved distance, timing, family expectations, emotional confusion, responsibilities, or a personal situation they did not know how to explain. This obstacle became their reason for remaining uncertain. Whenever their heart moved toward you, their mind pointed to the problem. But the problem is shifting. A solution has appeared where they expected none. Something that seemed complicated is becoming clear. A burden that consumed their attention is beginning to lift. A conversation they feared has gone better than expected. A person whose opinion mattered may have become more understanding. A responsibility that kept them tied to the past is no longer holding the same power. This is part of the good news. The path between you is not as blocked as it once seemed. Heaven is not saying that every challenge has vanished. Meaningful connections still require courage, patience, communication, and wisdom. But the wall your soulmate once saw is no longer a wall. It has become a door. And now they are standing before it, realizing the handle has been within reach all along. They are excited, but they are also nervous. They have imagined the moment of telling you more than once. In one version, they speak confidently and you immediately understand. In another, their words become clumsy because emotion rises too quickly. Sometimes they imagine you smiling. Sometimes they worry you may not believe them. Sometimes they fear that they waited too long. But beneath every imagined outcome, one truth remains unchanged. They want you to know. They cannot keep this inside much longer. The good news has created a new energy around them. People close to them may have noticed that they seem lighter. Their face carries a different expression. They are more distracted, but not with worry. Their mind keeps returning to the same possibility. A future in which they no longer have to wonder what might have happened between you. Someone may have already asked them why they are smiling. They did not give the full answer. They protected the truth because they wanted you to hear it before everyone else. That is how meaningful this is to them. You may be asking, what exactly is the good news? Listen carefully, because heaven is revealing it in layers for a reason. The first layer is that they have accepted their feelings. The second is that an obstacle is moving. The third is that they have made a choice to communicate. But the fourth layer is where everything changes. Your soulmate has begun imagining something lasting with you. Not only another conversation. Not only a brief reunion. Not only a moment of emotional relief. They are imagining continuity. They are asking themselves what it would feel like to wake up knowing that the uncertainty between you had ended. They are picturing shared plans, honest conversations, peaceful moments, laughter returning where tension once lived. They are thinking about how your presence could become part of their ordinary life, not just an extraordinary feeling they carry alone. This does not mean they have every detail planned. The heart often sees the destination before the mind understands the route. But something in them has shifted from, "Could this happen?" to, "How can I make this happen?" That shift is powerful. It means the future is no longer being treated as a fantasy. It is becoming a possibility they are willing to protect. Stay with these words, because there is a reason this message found you before they reached out. Your heart needed preparation too. You have carried your own questions. You have wondered whether you were asking too much by wanting clarity. You have questioned whether your intuition was leading you or whether hope was keeping you attached to something uncertain. At times, you may have tried to detach completely. You told yourself that if they truly cared, they would show it. And you were right to value action. Heaven never asks you to abandon wisdom for wishful thinking. You are not being prepared to accept confusion again. You are being prepared to recognize the difference between someone repeating old patterns and someone arriving with a changed heart. The good news will not only be heard in what they say. It will be seen in what they are willing to do. Watch for consistency. Watch for honesty. Watch for the way they acknowledge the silence rather than pretending it never happened. Watch for the way they make space for your feelings instead of only explaining their own. Something within them understands that this moment cannot be handled casually. They know the next step matters. And because it matters, they are being careful. There is a message they have almost sent. There are words they have typed, erased, rewritten, and read again. They wanted the message to sound natural, but nothing felt large enough to carry what they truly meant. A simple greeting seemed too small. A dramatic confession felt too sudden. So they paused. Do not mistake that pause for retreat. They are closer than they have ever been. A moment is approaching when emotion will become stronger than hesitation. When that happens, the words will finally move from their heart into your world. And when they do, one sentence will stand out. It will be the sentence that tells you this is different. It may not sound poetic. It may not arrive in the perfect way. But you will feel the truth behind it. They may say they have been wanting to tell you something. They may say something has changed. They may admit that they have been thinking about you more than you know. They may reveal that a situation has finally been resolved. Or they may simply say, I have good news, and you are the first person I wanted to share it with. That final part matters. You are the first person they want to tell. Think about what that means. When something beautiful happens, the heart instinctively reaches for the person it associates with home. The person whose reaction matters. The person whose happiness makes the moment feel complete. Your soulmate's good news may belong to their life, but in their heart, it is connected to you. Perhaps it creates a new opportunity for the two of you. Perhaps it removes a limitation. Perhaps it gives them freedom to finally make the move they have delayed. Perhaps it confirms something they had been waiting to know. Or perhaps the good news is the decision itself. They are no longer willing to let fear decide the future. Whatever form it takes, it carries an invitation. Not an invitation to chase. Not an invitation to prove your worth. An invitation to witness who they are becoming. For a long time, you may have felt as though you were the only one sensing the depth of this bond. You noticed the unspoken emotions, the changes in their tone, the moments when their eyes or words revealed more than they intended. Then they would pull back, leaving you to wonder whether you had imagined everything. You did not imagine the connection. But they were not ready to carry it openly. Now readiness is beginning to meet feeling. And that is why the energy has changed. There is movement where there was delay. There is intention where there was confusion. There is hope where there was guarded silence. Do not skip the next truth, because it may explain why your own emotions have felt unusual lately. When two people share a deep emotional bond, one person's internal shift can sometimes be felt by the other as restlessness, sudden memories, unexpected peace, vivid dreams, or the sense that something is about to happen. You may have found yourself thinking of them without a clear reason. You may have felt a strange mixture of calm and anticipation. You may have sensed that a chapter was turning even though no external proof had appeared. This message is not telling you to abandon discernment or turn every coincidence into a promise. It is reminding you that your heart has been processing change before your eyes could see it. Something is moving. But the most surprising part has not yet been revealed. Your soulmate's good news involves another person who recently influenced their decision. This person did not come to separate you. They came, perhaps unknowingly, to push your soulmate toward the truth. It may be a family member, a close friend, an older person whose advice they respect, or someone who simply asked the right question at the right moment. The conversation began casually, but it reached a place your soulmate did not expect. They were asked about happiness. They were asked what they truly wanted. They were asked why they kept postponing something that clearly mattered. At first, they gave a safe answer. Then the person looked deeper. They may have said, "You already know what you want. You are only afraid to admit it." Those words stayed with them. Your name entered their mind instantly. And in that moment, the excuses they had built began to fall apart. They realized that everyone can see when a person is avoiding their own heart. No matter how carefully they hide it, truth changes their expression. It appears in the subjects they avoid, the names that make them quiet, and the memories that soften their voice. Someone saw through them. Instead of judging, that person encouraged them. They reminded your soulmate that genuine connection is rare. That waiting for perfect certainty can cause people to miss beautiful opportunities. That courage does not mean knowing exactly how everything will unfold. It means taking an honest step even when the outcome is not guaranteed. This conversation became a turning point. Afterward, your soulmate spent time alone. They revisited memories of you. Not only the dramatic moments, but the small ones. A look. A laugh. A thoughtful question. A time you showed kindness when they expected judgment. A moment when you understood what they could not explain. They realized their attachment to you was not built on fantasy. It was built on the way they felt seen. That realization brought both joy and regret. Joy, because the connection was real. Regret, because they had not honored it sooner. But heaven is not allowing regret to become another excuse for delay. Regret can either trap a person in the past or teach them how to enter the future differently. Your soulmate is choosing the lesson. They do not want to return merely saying, "I missed you." They want to say, "I understand now." Those words carry more weight. I understand why I could not forget you. I understand what fear made me do. I understand why the silence hurt. I understand that what we share deserves honesty. And perhaps most importantly, I understand what I am ready for now. Something huge is waiting just beyond this part of the message, because your soulmate has not only decided to share good news. They have connected that news to a specific action. A date. A meeting. A journey. A conversation. A plan. There is something concrete forming. They may be checking a schedule. Looking at a location. Rearranging an obligation. Saving something important. Preparing a surprise. Asking someone for advice. Or creating an opportunity to speak with you without interruption. This is not random. They want the moment to feel safe. They know what they are going to reveal could open a new chapter, and they do not want it to become lost in hurried words or misunderstood messages. Still, they may reach out suddenly. Because no matter how carefully they plan, emotion has a timing of its own. The message could come when you least expect it. During an ordinary afternoon. Late in the evening. At a moment when you have finally turned your attention elsewhere. That is often how life delivers meaningful change, not when we are staring at the door, but when we have returned to ourselves. Continue living. Continue growing. Do not place your peace on hold. The good news is approaching you, but your life is not meant to become a waiting room. You are being asked to remain open without becoming consumed. Hopeful without abandoning your standards. Loving without forgetting your value. Your soulmate's transformation is their responsibility. Your responsibility is to stay aligned with the person you have become through all of this. You are no longer the version of yourself who will accept vague promises just because they sound beautiful. You have learned that love must feel peaceful enough to trust, clear enough to understand, and mutual enough to grow. This is why heaven allowed time to pass. Not to punish you. To strengthen your discernment. When the good news arrives, you will be able to receive it with an open heart and open eyes. And that balance will protect the new beginning. Your soulmate senses that you have changed. They know they cannot approach you in the same way they did before. Something about your energy now says, meet me honestly or do not meet me at all. They respect this more than you realize. Your strength has not pushed them away. It has called them higher. It has shown them that being close to you will require emotional maturity. They can no longer rely on mixed signals or assume you will understand what they refuse to communicate. They must become clear. They must become intentional. They must become brave. And this is the most beautiful part, they want to. Not because someone is forcing them. Not because they are lonely. Because they finally understand what they could build with you. There is a version of their future they have begun to see. In that future, the tension between you has softened. The questions have answers. The distance has meaning because it taught both of you what not to repeat. They imagine looking back at this season and saying, that was the moment everything began to change. But before that future can unfold, one truth must be spoken. One secret connected to the good news is still hidden. Your soulmate has been given an opportunity. It arrived recently. At first, they saw it only as a personal blessing. But as they considered it more deeply, they realized it could affect the connection between you in a powerful way. This opportunity may give them freedom, confidence, stability, proximity, or a reason to enter your world more directly. It has made something possible that once felt distant. And there is one detail about this opportunity they have not told anyone yet. A detail involving you. They have already imagined including you. They have already thought about how to explain it. They have already asked themselves whether this could be the opening they have been waiting for. Their excitement is growing because they know that once you hear the full story, you may finally understand why everything had to unfold in this unusual order. The silence. The delay. The inner struggle. The sudden change. The good news. All of it is connected. Stay near this message in your heart, because the next revelation is the one that turns hope into a real possibility. Your soulmate is closer to speaking than you think. The words are ready. The situation has shifted. The door is open. But just before they share the good news, they discovered something about you, something they did not expect, something that changed the exact way they planned to approach you. And what they discovered has made them realize that the message they were preparing is no longer enough. Now they are preparing something more.